In this video, I try to beat Terraria using water weapons only. However, since there aren't a ton of weapons that specifically shoots water, I will be including ice weapons as well. Will I be able to take down Moonlurk with such limited options? Stay tuned to find out. Alright, time to get started. But before anything, I'm just gonna put this out there. Ice is just water, guys. That's just been frozen, okay? I have 3 options for my first weapon: the Ice Blade, Ice Boomerang, and the Snowball Cannon. The chances of getting these weapons are pretty high since they can all be found in the ice biome inside frozen chests, so after chopping trees down for wood, I went underground in the ice biome to look for the weapons. I found Hermes boots pretty early on and also some life crystals. A little while after, I found an ice chest and inside contained the Ice Blade. Now I can start killing some monsters. What's good about the sword is that it has a long ranged attack, so I can attack from a safe distance. After returning home, I crafted the tungsten pickaxe and then went into the jungle. I found more life crystals and mined a bunch of ores. I built some NPC houses and made some platinum armor. When it turned to night, I summoned the Eye of Cthulhu. The fight took quite some time since I could only shoot the ice bolts every 2 seconds, and when it turned into its second phase, it became much harder to land my shots. After defeating the boss, a goblin army was about to invade, but with the Ice Blade, I knew it was going to take a very long time to beat, so I ignored it for now. I wanted to get another weapon before I take on the army as well as the next boss, which is the Snowball Cannon. After about 30 minutes of searching, I finally found it. This was going to be a much better weapon to use against the army and especially Skeletron. The Snowball Cannon shoots at a much faster rate. If I continued to use the Ice Blade against Skeletron, there was just no way I would have been able to defeat it in time. After defeating the army, I began mining down towards Hell, and I found a Goblin Tinkerer along the way. I bought rocket boots and the workshop from him to combine some accessories, and then I went up to some sky islands to find the shiny red balloon and a lucky horseshoe. I went to the dungeon afterwards and built an arena to fight Skeletron. It was during a blood moon too, so there was a bit more monsters that I had to watch out for while fighting the boss. After defeating Skeletron, I went down the dungeon and found my next weapon, the Water Bolt. This weapon shoots out projectiles that can bounce off blocks and will be used against the Wall of Flesh. Plus, this weapon will absolutely destroy the Eater of Worlds. After finding the Cobalt Shield, I went down the Corruption and was about to summon the boss, but I found a pyramid, but inside the chest was the stupid Pharaoh's Vanity set. After getting baited, I went back on task. I built an arena, but I wasn't going to fight the boss just yet. Seeing that I barely had any mana, I went to search for some stars to make mana crystals. After finding enough stars to increase my mana to 120, I went back to the corruption, broke some shadow orbs to summon the boss. After defeating the worm, I went home, crafted the nightmare pickaxe and shadow armor, but I was missing a few materials for the leggings, so I killed the boss one more time to complete the shadow armor sets. Next up is the Wall of Flesh. After mining down to Hell, I collected some Hellstone to make the molten pickaxe, but not the molten armor. Yes, it would give me more defense, but the melee damage bonus would have been useless to me. I prefer the shadow armor because of the movement speed it gave. After reaching to the end of the world, I threw in the voodoo doll to summon the boss. I didn't want to build a long platform because 1, it would take a long time, and 2, my water bolts would be blocked by it from hitting every part of the boss, so using a water walking potion would be best. After defeating the wall of flesh, I am now in hard mode, and I'm going to need a better weapon if I'm going to have a chance to survive, so there are a few hard mode weapons that I can get. The Icicle, Frostbrand, Ice Bow, or the Frost Staff, and just like the other pre-hard mode weapons I've said before, these ones can also be found in the ice biome. But before that, I broke some demon altars and mined the hard mode ores. After collecting enough titanium, I crafted the titanium armor and then went to the ice biome where I found an ice mimic. After killing it, it dropped the Frostbrand, which is exactly like the Ice Blade, but with more damage and the rate of fire is much faster. Plus it has the ability to inflict Frostburn. Now it's time that I make myself a pair of wings, so going up to a sky island I killed wyverns for souls of flight, and also some hollowed monsters for souls of light to make angel wings. After it turned dark, I summoned the twins as the first mechanical boss to fight. After the twins were defeated, I still had some time left in the night to summon the next mech boss, the Destroyer. The projectiles of the Frostbrand can pass through multiple enemies, but it is limited to 4 ticks of damage. After that, the projectile will disappear. To ensure that I beat this boss before night ends, I had to go right next to it to make sure my projectiles, the weapon itself, and the set effect of the titanium armor were all able to hit it at the same time. Luckily, I was able to defeat it before morning arrived. There was nothing else to do than to wait for the next night to fight Skeletron Prime, so I slept on my bed to speed up time. Afterwards, I summoned the boss, and just like the twins, it was kinda hard to get close to it, so I had to rely on my projectiles to do most of the damage. After defeating Skeletron Prime, I crafted the hollowed armor for some invincibility and the pickaxe axe. I went down the jungle and found the Plantera bulb, so I used some dynamite to clear an area to build an arena. After finishing building the arena, I broke the bulb to begin the fight against Plantera. The first phase of the fight is always the easiest. You just have to fly around in circles, and there will be rarely a time that one of its leaves will hit you. Once it hits the second phase, I had to keep a good distance from it and watch where all of the vines attached on Plantera are. After defeating Plantera, I went inside the temple to summon golems. This fight wasn't that bad since the accessory that Plantera dropped, the Spore Sack, helped a lot with damage. Now before I fight the Lunatic Cultist and the final boss Moonlord, I had to fight Duke Fishron. This boss will drop the last weapon for me to use until the end of the game. The Razorblade Typhoon, Flareon, the Tempest Staff, and the Bubble Gun are the weapons that I'll be able to use. My preferred weapon is the Razorblade Typhoon because the projectiles can home onto enemies, and I know the Flareon can do that too, but it just does a much better job at it. Sometimes the bubbles from the Flareon moves too slow, so it'll miss on fast moving monsters or bosses. If I got the Tempest Staff, then I would have to fight Duke Fishron because the staff will only act as a side weapon. This fight took insanely long because of how much health it had, how fast it moved, and also since I can only deal damage with my projectiles. The fact that a solar eclipse began too made it so much harder, but in the end I was able to defeat it and got the Flareon inside the treasure bag. Now having this weapon, I took on the Lunatic Cultist, and after defeating him, I destroyed all the Celestial Pillars to then face against the final boss Moonlord. Because Moonlord moves faster than the homing bubbles, it was really hard to deal consistent damage. It was until later on that I found out a better way to deal more damage, and that was to fight directly down under the eye on the forehead so that the bubbles have a better pathway to home in. Alright, that's gonna be it guys. Can you beat Terraria using water weapons only? Yes you can. The next challenge is Master Mode, so stay tuned for that. Anyways, hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and also subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.